Punk wanted Cody Rhodes' soul at Elimination Chamber. And instead we got what I feel like is, because of the day and age of the internet, the biggest heel turn of all time. You know how many people at work who know I watch wrestling, who know nothing about this great sport, as the World Heavyweight Champion would say, came to me at work and said, wait, did something happen in wrestling? I see all these videos of someone crying about John Cena. Like, that is how big I feel like this moment is. I had people that know nothing about wrestling, my family texting me saying they're seeing all these videos on the internet. Like, and by the way, I called it. If you listen to Brandon's Word a couple weeks ago, I explained the whole story. I talked about how John Cena was going to turn heel. I talked about how the seeds were planted at the Royal Rumble press conference, how he did not show up at the Raw after the Royal Rumble in Cleveland. It felt like something sneaky was happening. And to me, like, the road to WrestleMania 41 started off slow, and like Paul Triple H Levesque said, because we have more time between this year's WrestleMania than usual, because it's going to be April 20th and April 19th, the latest WrestleMania has ever been. Um, wow, I thought Elimination Chamber, that moment, just I don't know. I was that was one of the top moments in wrestling for me as a fan.
I think that might be the greatest elimination chamber of all time. Just from a production standpoint and just like kind of everything that aligned the way it did. I think that was
Yeah,
one of the greatest elimination chambers, if not the greatest elimination chamber of all time. And I know a lot of people, and like before I get into like how I feel about the whole heel turn stuff, I feel like a lot of people were kind of calling for the head of elimination chamber in general because it was like I don't know if they really needed to do the whole PLE for it anymore. It just was starting to lose its pizzazz. But I think after this year's, I think you might want to keep it for the long haul. And I don't know if they were ever trying to
I
get rid of.
I never heard that call for it, because I do like the fact that, like, you have an extra opportunity after the Royal Rumble and it's a gimmick match, and it does always work to me.
Yeah, I think the people that I saw online, they were kind of saying it like this. They were like, "Well, Elimination Chamber is basically like Money in the Bank. You can just put it into one PLE and you don't have to do anything
No,
else the rest
not
of
at
the way."
all.
And that's just what I was seeing online. I don't agree with that sentiment at all. But getting back on track to the heel turn, holy hell, that was insane. I thought the whole Rock asking for Cody's soul on like before leading up to Elimination Chamber, I thought that was weird in itself. I'm like, what the hell are they doing?
That was the point. And by
Like,
the
I
way,
was like, what is this? Like,
I was telling my buddy, and everybody then said, "Oh, they decided this the day before, and oh, this wasn't the original plan." No, 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 no. That was bullshit. This was the plan all along, dating back to the Royal Rumble. They worked us, they worked the IWC, and they worked their own production staff, by the way, because nobody knew what was happening.
yeah, I didn't. When they first said that The Rock was showing up to talk to Cody, I was so confused by that because I was like, are they trying to make him heel? Because I thought that leading up to kind of the Elimination Chamber, I thought that with Cody losing everyone, that maybe he could have went to the dark side
Well,
and
and
done
my
something
pushback
crazy.
was I did not want to see Cody and John, two baby faces. I was
Yeah,
okay with the match if they made one of them a heel. I didn't care who it was, but I wanted one of them to be a heel.
and you know what? In today's day and age, it kind of makes sense that they made John Cena heel because listen, that was one of the greatest heel turns of all time, and it's funny because you have a baby face for so long, and when those I saw the interviews and they were kind of like, well, John doesn't show up too much, John gets lazy, John inserts himself into this and that, kind of explaining what you were saying on previous episodes, and then they finally turned him heel. He's never been a heel in his entire career. They were going
Yeah,
to do it
well,
after.
technically he has. And when he came in 2002 and 2003, he was
Oh,
a heel.
okay. Well, then I guess like outside of that, then where
So,
like,
and for me, like, the whole storyline since like 2018 has been that Cena, hasn't won a big match in 2000 days. He's chasing the world championship. Like, he's going at Hollywood a lot. Like, yes, this does make sense. I said, Austin, I don't know. Like, we still have to figure out what the fuck this favor is with CM Punk and Paul Heyman. We're not done with this shit. Because, by the way, this promo on Raw was maybe CM Punk's best promo. Maybe better than the pipe bomb. Like, that had me jumping for the TV. And you're
oh
bullshit.
yeah.
And this shit.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, and I'm a huge Punk guy, and I was loving it. I was loving that promo every second of it. I want you know what? I'm just gonna say it. I want there to be a way where CM Punk inserts himself and they
So,
make this a triple threat
so,
match.
so here's
I
my
want to see that
solution. I
right now.
think I told you this already. Here's the solution. The main event of night one of WrestleMania 41 is CM Punk, Roman Reigns, and Seth Rollins in a triple threat match. And the winner gets to insert themselves in the Cena Rock match, and they make it a triple threat. And Paul Heyman takes a steel chair or weapon of choice, smacks Roman Reigns in the back of the head, and turns on Roman Reigns and aligns himself with the Second City Saint again. CM Punk gets inserted into the match. No disrespect to Charlotte and Tiffany or Rhea, Io, Bianca, or Jey Uso and Gunther, whatever. You cannot follow a CM Punk, Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns triple threat match. To
Oh
me,
yeah.
that
Oh yeah.
match has to close night one. If that is the match, that's main eventing night one.
Oh, I totally agree with you. And I want this favor has to come about at some point. I think we're about to see something for CM Punk's camp that is going to benefit him so well. And I hope it is a steel chair to the back of Roman Reigns. I hope it's something like that because CM Punk, since he's came back, I feel like again, he could have had big plans last year. The injury happened. I get that. But you got to deliver on bringing back one of your most iconic stars, a workhorse guy like CM Punk, who I want that main event for the guy.
And how
Now,
much of a and I know it's not in WWE's factor at all. I understand that. But how much of a slap in the face would it be to their competition? And you know what I'm talking about. To have the two guys that were maybe inaugural part of the initial success of that competition to be in the main event of WrestleMania with their golden boy over the past 20 years.
I guess the only thing I would say with that for their competition is don't have meaningless backstage drama because by doing that, you've completely screwed yourselves
Yeah.
in the race of being something that could have been great, but now your competition is only prioritizing quality matches over quality storytelling, which I think should be the other way around. There needs to be some storytelling along with good quality
And by the
matches.
way, for the record, for people that know this, so you've only been a wrestling fan for what, 3 or 4 years?
So it's funny because I was talking to Michael Reiner yesterday. He called me out of the
Okay.
blue, and he wanted to know when I started to become a wrestling fan. The first true match I watched was Royal Rumble 2023.
Oh wow. Okay, so it's only been a
But
couple
I
years.
have I have grinded and put in the work to watch past,
So that's why you're such a Cody guy.
you know, yeah, maybe a little bit, but that shouldn't take away from the point that,
Well, good for you. You escaped the whole Vince McMahon era. You only know what it's like to have good WWE.
I did watch the McMahon documentary. I thought it was really good.
Oh yeah, I
I
thought
did
it was
watch it. And trust
fantastic.
me, I put my nose to the ground and like watched a lot of the old stuff. I watched a lot of the WCW 90s stuff. I thought that
Okay.
was Hollywood good. I thought that the Bash to the Beach heel turn, that
That
was effing
yeah,
crazy.
everybody said that that's the biggest heel turn of all time. I think Cena's topped it just because of the social media influence and the aspect of today's world.
Yeah, and I think it's by generation by generation. I kind
Yeah.
of relate it like basketball. Like you have the old head saying that Jordan's always going to be the GOAT. Now you have the new age.
Not in 20 years they won't be because no one's going to see
Exactly.
Jordan
Exactly.
play.
It's just a timeline. It's a
Yes.
timeline, and that's my point that I'm getting at here. You're going to get people who say one thing because of their time, and you're going to get the others in like today's day and age with social media who
Yeah.
are going to say that John Cena's heel turn is going
Yeah.
to possibly be the greatest of all time. I want to see how it plays out, but I think it's definitely up there for sure because no one saw it coming. No one
So
saw it coming.
so here's the other thing that people on the internet have smartly pointed out, Austin. Heels lie. Uh, are we sure John Cena's retiring at the end of this year?
Want to say he does, but I raise my eyebrow and like ask, like I just don't know. I want to think he does because he was kind of selling it the whole time, but now you have like this heel turn, and I don't know how long this will go.
Well, and
So
that's
it
and
makes
here
me wonder. It makes me wonder if he. It makes me wonder if they're gonna leak this out a little more. I raise questions now. because he's been less frequent. I've heard that they've backloaded his entire 2025 to make it seem like they can fit the dates in there. I just don't know. I don't know. I think for all we know, they could have worked us, man.
Well,
I don't know anymore. They could have worked us.
I called it the air.
Everything's a work
I,
nowadays.
I
So
called it the Eras Tour for men, and I mean, pretty much might be going out the window. Let me throw this at you though. I want to transition to the full WrestleMania card as a whole. Um, I am one of those people that to be honest with you, and the Bianca Naomi promo on SmackDown last night might have sold me a little bit, but I don't love the direction they're going with this Women's World Championship. I thought Bianca should have been the one to be revealed that she attacked Jade. I think the fact Naomi attacking Jade makes absolutely no sense to me that Bianca is not involved whatsoever. I think Bianca winning the Women's World Championship potentially at WrestleMania makes no sense unless it's going to be revealed that Bianca and Naomi eventually together attack Jade, and that's how Jade wins the World Championship by taking it off Bianca. Like, this storyline to me, and maybe it's because Rhea ran through the entire women's division and they had no one left for her to face besides Bianca and Io, I guess. I'm not the biggest fan of Io's guy. I don't think she has a personality, and I think her in ring work is okay. I thought her last championship reign was miserable, so I'm not looking forward to this one. That's sort of been my take. Like, I'm not enthralled in this women's world championship. Maybe I'm wrong.
no, I think you're right. I'm not going to ever question your intellect when it comes to being the Nostradamus of how this is going to play out again after the whole John Cena thing. I think that the way I look at this is you're right. I think Bianca also teamed up with Naomi, and I think that down the line at some point that will be revealed. I know
But
that
does Naomi help Bianca win the championship?
yes,
Okay.
yes, she does.
So,
I
and
think they are
then
going to both turn heel. Yes.
So our SummerSlam feud then, this is what I kind of thought would be Jade getting the championship back from Bianca. Jade becomes a women's world champion at SummerSlam,
Yeah,
which
you
will
got to
be
put her over. You got to put her over somehow, and she's been absolutely fantastic since joining the company. Yes, absolutely.
the first 2 night SummerSlam, so you need a big angle there. And
Mhm.
like again, so it like Bianca just being in this women's world championship match makes no sense. She's a SmackDown, and I'm one of those. You talk about old school. I'm an old school brand guy. Where like if you're on Raw, you should not be fighting for a SmackDown World Championship, and vice versa.
No, I agree with you, but it's just like when I started watching this thing, it's like all helter skelter, and they throw everyone everywhere, and like you have this draft, but then like
No,
halfway through the year they get
it's
rid of it.
okay for like WrestleMania season, and the draft does do some shakeups. But it's not as effective as it used to be. I feel like I do like it where like certain superstars, it feels like Cody and Roman, like the big ones aren't assigned to a brand per se. Um, I by the way, for the record, I cannot wait till SmackDown goes back to 2 hours. The 3 hour SmackDown is just not doing it for me personally. I do like the fact that Raw is about 2.5. Like I think Netflix and Raw, I think it's worked out great. I love the 2.5 hours. It feels fast. It feels moving when you're there at the show. Like it's
Oh
very
yeah.
different. Tell me if you felt that way. Like there was really no commercial breaks, obviously, because the people that have Netflix Premium, they're doing interviews during breaks. Like I don't know. I feel like 2 hours is the perfect time for a wrestling show, and 2.5 is stretching it. Once you get to three, it's like okay, we're in filler time here.
Yeah, and I was thinking that before, the whole Netflix deal with Raw, because like I would go to some of those shows in Cleveland when they were still on USA with
Yeah,
Raw, and it felt like when you got to 10 o'clock, it's like, damn, we got to wait till 11, and there's
yeah.
like no dark matches or anything at all
And,
to
and
come
you're
out.
having a good time. You're having a fun show, but some of the stuff did feel filler.
Yeah, it did feel like filler, and it's like, well, you really don't need to stretch this out too much longer. Like it 2.5. I think that's fine for me. I think WWE on Raw has been everything that they've lived up to the billing for. It's been absolutely fantastic. I've enjoyed watching those shows. They've been better in terms of production.
Yes.
So I think that eventually SmackDown will find its way over there. And then they're gonna just move everything over to Netflix as a whole. And I think the PLEs are gonna make their way over there too. I think that when they get out of that Peacock contract,
Yeah.
probably move it over to Netflix.
Which makes sense
Oh,
because they're already over there International Week, so that would make the
yeah.
most sense. So listen, I'm a big yeet guy. I say yeet now in my everyday life. It's a part of my vocabulary. I love Gunther. Like Gunther is one of my favorites. He's very old school. I think Gunther's in the wrong era. Gunther should have been in like the '60s, but thank God he's here with us now. The only issue I have with it is like we just saw this match at Saturday night's main event. Like I don't know. Like if you weren't gonna turn Cena heel, like I wanted Cena Gunther, like I don't know. I feel like Jay's gonna win the championship, and then which was my concern with Cody winning the championship against Roman. It's like, well, now what?
Well, they're trying to find a way to establish. For me, like I think they're trying to find a way to establish that, like when people go through like these hardships, like Jay did. I think that's kind of the angle I'm kind of looking at it. They're trying to make it seem like with Jay, when you go through all these hardships and you have this nickname called Main Event Jey Uso, and you're doing everything in your power to not be Main Event Jey Uso, and now you have an opportunity to take it off Gunther. I feel like they should have done it with someone else. I don't like that it is going to end up being Jey Uso and Gunther, because I agree that Saturday night main event, that's kind of all we needed to really see with
And
that.
that was a great match. And I'm not going to say the WrestleMania match is not going to be a great match. It is, but it's almost like, okay, Jay's going to win. And so for that reason, I want that match to open WrestleMania. I want it to be the first match on the
Yeah.
card. Let the crowd yeet, let them all get happy, and let's get to the serious stuff.
Yeah, I feel like the build up for this really hasn't been great. And it just, I don't know. Like, I'm happy that he's finally getting his moment. I truly am. I think that when he ends up ultimately getting that belt, I'll be happy for him, because I think that he's worked his ass off to get to the point where he's at, where he's not a tag team guy anymore. He's now the main event that he is. And I think that when he ends up taking it off Gunther, it'll feel pretty good, because Gunther screwed over Damian Priest for no reason. But I think that in the end, like for Jey Uso, this should be, it should open up night one. If you wanted to open it up night two, you could, but I think that it has to be a beginning fight on one of these two opening
Yeah.
nights. It cannot be later in the night. I think it, because I think if it is something like that later in the night, it might serve as the quote unquote bathroom break. And I don't want that to be the case, even though Jey Uso is starting to become a draw. Gunther's been great in his title reign. I think it's time for him to start focusing on the bigger title, which is the undisputed championship. And I think at some point he's going to get his hands on it.
Well, you see, I brought this up last year. I think I don't know if it was to you or not, but WWE has so many main event players right now. You know, you
Oh yeah,
have Cody, you have Cena, you have Punk, you have Roman, you have Seth, you have Gunther, you have Priest, you have McIntyre, you have guys like AJ Styles still in the mix, you have LA Knight, you have Braun Breaker, like you have all these guys. Some of them are just relegated to the mid card because there's not you have Kevin Owens, you have Randy Orton, there's not spots for everybody. Like this is the most stacked roster I think I've ever seen. Well, we're trying to figure out what the hell is LA Knight going to do and AJ Styles at WrestleMania.
I mean, it's a good problem to have, though, to have all these stacked guys on the roster, because it shows you that you can go many different ways, and it could
I
pop.
mean, Drew McIntyre and Damian Priest feuded over the World Championship in June. They're now going to have a WrestleMania match basically because they didn't know where to put either of them.
Yeah, and I don't like that. Like, I don't like how they've been booking some of these guys as well.
See,
And
I would have rather have Priest win the U.S. Championship from Nakamura and LA Knight face Drew in a one-on-one WrestleMania match. Like that to me would have made more sense. But I digress.
yeah, like I don't know. The way I look at the U.S. title now is, out of all the belts, out of like the Intercontinental Championship, out of the Undisputed, out of the U.S. title, out of all the belts, the World Heavyweight Championship, I think the U.S. title means like the least to me, because I feel like they've, in the past couple of years, they've made it seem like it's a bunch of nothing.
Outside of LA Knight's first title reign, yeah. I mean, Logan Paul did have a decent title reign, which, by the way, I didn't even mention Logan Paul.
Logan Paul was solely a business move, though. That was not, he rarely defended that belt.
Yes, but I'm talking about for the record, he is a guy that is going to get a marquee WrestleMania match, like because he is a draw. No matter if people hate him or
Yeah,
not, he does
he's a
draw.
draw. He's a draw, and that's why he's always going to get those big matches. Like they didn't have to put him in Elimination Chamber, but he did because he's a draw.
And by the way, the fact that he impromptu brought out the U.S. flag with everything going on with the U.S. and Canada right now,
That was a great heel move.
like that clip from the Brand's World podcast? If so, make sure you go down there and hit that subscribe button. While you're down there hitting the subscribe button, make sure to also hit the notification bell so you never miss another upload. And make sure you check out all the other clips from the Brand's World podcast right here on YouTube.